Throughout his remarkable life, Edgar Cayce discovered a profound truth that many religious institutions have overlooked, that dreams serve as a direct channel through which the divine communicates with us. As he often said, dreams are today's answers to tomorrow's questions. This simple yet profound statement encapsulates a spiritual reality that has been largely ignored by mainstream religious teachings. Before we continue, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. Edgar Cayce's journey into understanding dreams began when he was just a child. Born in 1877 near Hopkinsville, Kentucky, he discovered early on that he possessed unusual abilities. As a young boy, he would often speak of seeing and conversing with his deceased grandfather. While many dismissed these experiences as childish imagination, Cayce recognized them as something more significant, glimpses beyond the veil that separates our physical world from the spiritual realm. What made Cayce's perspective on dreams so revolutionary was his understanding that they weren't merely random neural firings or subconscious processing, but rather divine communications carefully tailored to each individual's spiritual journey. The dreams, visions, impressions that come to those who have opened themselves to the unseen forces about them become the signals, the signs, the symbols of a living God, Cayce would explain during his readings. But why has the Church historically distanced itself from this profound form of spiritual communication? Cayce believed it stemmed from fear of losing control over spiritual narratives, fear of the unknown, and perhaps most significantly, fear that direct divine communication might challenge established religious authority. Throughout history, religious institutions have often positioned themselves as necessary intermediaries between God and humanity. The notion that individuals might receive direct guidance through dreams threatens this hierarchical structure. God speaks to each soul, Cayce would emphasize, not just to priests or prophets, but to the humble seeker who listens with an open heart. This democratization of spiritual communication was radical, suggesting that every person, regardless of their standing in religious communities, could receive personal guidance from the divine. Cayce's readings consistently emphasized that dreams were a universal birthright, God's gift to humanity that transcended denominational boundaries. What exactly might God be showing you in your dreams? According to Cayce's extensive readings, the possibilities are as varied as the dreamers themselves. For some, dreams provide healing guidance, revealing imbalances in the body before they manifest as physical symptoms. For others, dreams offer spiritual direction, illuminating the path forward when life's crossroads appear confusing and overwhelming. Dreams often come in the language of symbols, Cayce would explain, because the soul thinks in pictures rather than words. This symbolic language allows the divine to communicate complex spiritual truths that might be impossible to convey through ordinary language. A flowing river in a dream might represent the passage of time. A house often symbolizes the dreamer's consciousness. Flying frequently indicates spiritual freedom and transcendence. Cayce's readings revealed that dreams operate on multiple levels simultaneously. On the most basic level, dreams process daily experiences and emotions. But at deeper levels, they can provide profound spiritual insights, psychic glimpses of possible futures, and even connections with loved ones who have passed beyond the physical plane. The subconscious mind, Cayce would say, is the builder of the body. Through dreams, it communicates the body's needs and the soul's desires. This perspective unified the physical and spiritual aspects of dreaming in a way that few spiritual teachers had previously accomplished. One of the most controversial aspects of Cayce's dream teachings concerned what he called soul travel. The idea that during sleep, the soul can temporarily separate from the physical body and journey to other realms of existence. These experiences, which modern researchers might classify as lucid dreams or out-of-body experiences, allowed the dreamer to receive direct spiritual instruction or to communicate with spiritual entities. Why would religious institutions be uncomfortable with such experiences? Throughout history, organized religion has often sought to maintain clear boundaries between the sacred and profane, the mortal and divine. The idea that ordinary people might regularly cross these boundaries during sleep challenged fundamental religious power structures. Cayce's readings also revealed that dreams could access what he called the Akashic Records, a non-physical repository of all human experiences, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent ever to have occurred. Through dreams, individuals could potentially access not only their own past lives, but the collective wisdom of all humanity. Such a concept naturally threatened religious doctrines that rejected reincarnation or emphasized the separation between God and humanity. Dreams, Cayce would explain, can reveal the continuity of consciousness beyond physical death. For those grieving the loss of loved ones, dreams often provided comfort through visitations that Cayce maintained were genuine spiritual encounters rather than mere psychological projections. The Church, having established specific doctrines about the afterlife, has historically been cautious about embracing such personal revelations that might contradict official teachings. Perhaps most significantly, Cayce's reading suggested that dreams could reveal the divine nature within each person. Through dreams, he said, we discover that we are not merely physical beings having occasional spiritual experiences, but spiritual beings having a temporary physical experience. This perspective fundamentally shifts humanity's relationship with the divine from one of separation to one of inherent connection. For those seeking to remember and understand their dreams, Cayce offered practical guidance that remains valuable today. He recommended keeping a dream journal beside the bed, recording dreams immediately upon waking, and setting a clear intention before sleep to remember dreams. The difference between those who receive dream guidance and those who don't, he explained, is often simply the intention to receive and remember. Cayce also emphasized the importance of dream interpretation as a personal practice rather than one that relies exclusively on external authorities. While dream dictionaries and experts might offer valuable insights, he believed that the dreamer ultimately holds the key to understanding their own symbolic language. The symbols in your dreams, he would say, speak in a language unique to your soul's journey. What about nightmares? Rather than dismissing them as meaningless disturbances, Cayce viewed them as particularly urgent communications from the divine. Nightmares, he explained, are often the soul's way of highlighting issues that require immediate attention. In his readings, he frequently identified nightmares as indicators of physical health problems, unresolved emotional traumas, or spiritual imbalances that needed addressing. Cayce's perspective on prophetic dreams was particularly nuanced. While he acknowledged that dreams could reveal possible futures, he emphasized that these visions represented potential outcomes rather than fixed destinies. Dreams show the pattern being woven by your current choices, he explained, but the dreamer always retains the free will to change the pattern. This understanding of dreams as dialogues rather than dictates preserved human agency while acknowledging divine guidance, a balance that organized religion has often struggled to maintain. Too often, religious institutions have either denied divine communication altogether or presented it as unquestionable commands, missing the collaborative relationship that Cayce described. For those whose dreams seem chaotic or meaningless, Cayce offered reassurance. Not every dream carries profound meaning, he acknowledged, but the capacity for meaningful dreams exists within everyone. He suggested that dream recall and clarity often improve with attention and practice, similar to developing any other skill. Cayce's readings also addressed a question that many dreamers ask. Why are divine communications in dreams often so confusing or cryptic? The language of the soul is symbolic, he explained, and must be translated into human understanding. This translation process, while sometimes challenging, actually serves a spiritual purpose. Engaging the dreamer in active interpretation deepens their connection with the message and with the divine. What would Cayce say to contemporary religious leaders who dismiss dreams as spiritually insignificant? His readings consistently emphasized that Scripture itself is filled with examples of divine dream communication. From Jacob's ladder to Joseph's prophetic dreams, from Solomon's divine wisdom received during sleep to the dreams that guided the Magi, biblical history affirms dreams as a legitimate channel of spiritual revelation. The same God who spoke through dreams in biblical times, Cayce would remind us, continues to speak through dreams today. This continuity of divine communication challenges religious notions that God's direct interaction with humanity ended with the closing of scriptural canon. For those seeking to enhance their dream life, Cayce recommended specific practices: prayer before sleep, meditation to quiet the conscious mind, and maintaining regular sleep patterns all contribute to more meaningful dream experiences. He also suggested dietary considerations, noting that heavy meals before bedtime often resulted in disturbed sleep and diminished dream recall. Cayce's perspective on dreams ultimately points toward a more intimate relationship with the divine than most religious institutions typically encourage. God seeks to speak to each soul directly, he maintained, and dreams provide a sacred space for this communion. This direct communication bypasses religious hierarchies, offering spiritual democratization that empowers individual seekers. What profound truths might you discover if you began paying serious attention to your dreams? According to Cayce's readings, you might uncover insights about your life purpose, guidance for healing physical ailments, resolution for emotional wounds, warnings about potential missteps, and reassurance during times of uncertainty. But perhaps most significantly, you might experience firsthand what Cayce described as the loving presence of the Creator, speaking directly to the created. The divine messages awaiting us in dreams encompass far more than simple guidance or information. They often reveal the interconnectedness of all life, the illusory nature of death, and the eternal journey of the soul. These profound spiritual truths challenge materialistic worldviews and offer comfort to those questioning their place in the universe. Dreams, as Cayce understood them, serve as bridges between different dimensions of existence. During sleep, the soul can access levels of reality that remain hidden during waking consciousness. This expanded awareness allows the dreamer to perceive connections, patterns, and possibilities that logical thinking might never discover. For Cayce, dreams represented one facet of a broader spiritual reality, that God continuously seeks communion with humanity through multiple channels. The still, small voice of intuition, synchronistic events, inspired creativity, and yes, meaningful dreams all constitute what he called the whisperings of the divine to the human soul. Yet despite their spiritual significance, dreams have often been relegated to the realm of psychological curiosity rather than spiritual practice within many religious communities. This diminishment represents a profound loss, according to Cayce's perspective, a failure to recognize and utilize one of God's most personal and consistent forms of communication. What might change if religious institutions began acknowledging dreams as legitimate spiritual experiences? According to Cayce's readings, such a shift would empower individuals to develop their own direct relationship with the divine while remaining in community with fellow seekers. Rather than threatening religious structures, this recognition would enrich them with the diverse wisdom received through dreams. Cayce's own life demonstrated the transformative potential of dream guidance. Through dreams, he received healing protocols that helped thousands, insights into ancient civilizations that expanded historical understanding, and spiritual teachings that bridged divisions between religious traditions. His experience suggests the untapped potential that awaits those who take their dreams seriously. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of Cayce's dream teachings was his insistence that dream communication represents divine love in action. God speaks through dreams, he would say, not to control or command, but to lovingly guide each soul toward its highest potential. This perspective transforms dreams from mere curiosities into sacred encounters with divine compassion. What God might be showing you in your dreams is, ultimately, yourself. Not the limited self defined by physical existence and social roles, but your eternal self, connected to all creation and to the Creator. This revelation, according to Cayce, is both the most profound gift of dreams and the truth that religious institutions find most challenging to incorporate into established doctrines. Dreams reveal that spirituality is not merely about adhering to external rules or beliefs, but about awakening to the divine presence that exists within and all around us. They invite us into a living relationship with the sacred that transcends intellectual understanding and transforms daily experience. This immediate experiential spirituality often feels threatening to religious systems built around mediated access to the divine. The Church's historical reluctance to embrace dream spirituality represents a missed opportunity to engage with one of humanity's most universal spiritual experiences. Dreams cross all cultural, religious, and social boundaries, offering a potential point of spiritual unity in a divided world. By reclaiming the spiritual significance of dreams, we recover an essential aspect of our humanity, our capacity for direct, divine communion. Edgar Cayce's perspective challenges us to reconsider dreams not as meaningless mental debris or even as merely psychological processes, but as sacred communications worthy of our attention and respect. Each night as we close our eyes, we are invited into conversation with the divine, a conversation that religious institutions would do well to acknowledge and honor. The messages that God might be showing you in dreams are as unique as your individual spiritual journey. They might offer healing for wounds you haven't yet acknowledged, guidance for decisions you're struggling to make, or glimpses of spiritual realities that transcend your current understanding. What remains constant, according to Cayce's readings, is that these dreams represent divine love reaching toward human consciousness. Why not pay attention to your dreams tonight? Set the intention to remember them, keep a journal beside your bed, and approach sleep as a sacred opportunity for divine communication. As Edgar Cayce discovered throughout his remarkable life, the wisdom waiting in dreams has the power to transform not only individual lives, but our collective understanding of spiritual reality. Dream communication reminds us that the veil between the divine and humanity is thin, permeable, and frequently crossed. It suggests that we are never truly separated from spiritual guidance, even in our most unconscious moments. This profound reassurance offers comfort in a world that often feels spiritually disconnected and alone. The divine speaks through dreams because, as Cayce often emphasized, sleep resembles the state from which we came and to which we will return. In this in-between state, freed temporarily from physical limitations, the soul becomes more receptive to spiritual truths that the waking mind might resist or fail to comprehend. Perhaps it's time to reclaim dreams as the spiritual treasures that Edgar Cayce recognized them to be. Not random neural firings or unconscious wish fulfillment, but sacred encounters with a God who seeks continuous communication with beloved creation. In doing so, we might discover what Cayce himself found, that the universe is far more communicative, supportive, and spiritually alive than we've been led to believe. The messages awaiting us in dreams remind us that we are never truly alone in our spiritual journey. Divine guidance, wisdom, and love are continuously available to those who learn to listen with the heart as well as the mind. This sacred conversation, conducted in the intimate language of dreams, represents one of God's most personal gifts to humanity, a gift that deserves not religious suspicion, but profound gratitude and attention. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Edgar Cayce's insights into dreams as divine communication. If these ideas resonated with you, we'd love to hear about your own dream experiences in the comments below. We read every single one and value your perspectives. If you found this video meaningful, please consider giving it a like, as this helps share these reflections with others who might benefit from them. And if you'd like to continue exploring spiritual wisdom from various traditions, be sure to subscribe to our channel for future episodes. Remember, as Edgar Cayce would say, dreams are the soul's windows into eternity. Sleep well and dream deeply.